Hey guys, it's Adam. Welcome to Do You Watch Anime, a show where I sit down with a guest every week and ask them, Do you watch anime? And we go from there. And today, joining me is voice actor in such anime as Digimon and there we go, The Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadows. There we go. Eli Farmer, how are you today?
Doing well, man. Living the dream. Living the dream. About yourself?
Good, good. So, do you watch anime?
I do. I do. And I've been watching anime for a very long time. So, yeah, all in.
Yeah. So, what were some of your first experiences with anime?
My first experiences. Well, Pokemon and Digimon. But at that time, I just kind of thought of them as cartoons. I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
really think like, oh, I'm watching anime. The first time I remember watching, and then Dragon Ball as well. But the first time I remember watching something and being like, this is not cartoons. I think I was, oh gosh, this is so bad. I think I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. No.
Okay.
Older than that. Maybe eight.
Yeah.
And you're Canadian. So you're based, okay. Canada your whole life?
Yep.
Okay, good deal. All right, so I don't think y'all had this programming block, but we had it here in the States called Adult Swim.
Yeah.
And so at the time, they were showing Yu Yu Hakusho. And so I had never seen anything like it before. So mind you, I'm like 8 years old. I see the first episode of Yu Yu Hakusho. And, Yusuke, his mouth is like legendary. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, cartoons can say bad words. And so that was like the first time I remember. And mind you, this is like 11 o'clock at night. I had no business being up that late. But this is like the first time I remember being like, this is something different. And yeah, that was anime.
Oh, I love it. I love that. Yeah. So my Dragon Ball Z would come on at 8:30
Okay.
for for us, and that was 9 o'clock was my bedtime, and I always got mad at Inuyasha because 9 o'clock was Inuyasha, and
Yeah.
that's when the adult programming
Yeah.
started. And I was like, I just want more Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
How dare you come on and just take over? And for I had that like for the longest time where I was just like, I hate this show for no reason. I haven't seen it because it was too scary growing up. And then I watched it and I was like, I was dumb. Yeah,
Yeah, yo, this show's awesome. I've been
this
missing
show's great. Yeah, I was like, I should have picked Inuyasha over Dragon Ball.
out.
Oh my god. So, what are some of your favorite anime?
Oh man, oh, the list goes on. Even though I'm not contractually obligated to say it, Digimon. That is actually one of my favorite anime of all time. I kept
Mhm.
up with all of the seasons all the way up until probably Cross Wars,
Okay,
which we
wow.
called Fusion. I
Mhm.
think west in the West, but yeah, that was really the only one I didn't keep up with like week to week as it was coming out. But Gundam was a huge one for me. Gundam Wing was like the first one I got exposed to, like most people.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball. Oh, the Gundam Unicorn is probably one of my all-time favorites. And then out of the like more modern wing, I guess you could say,
Mhm.
probably My Hero Academia. I would say is the like in recent time. That's definitely probably the anime that has grabbed a hold of me like no other. And in a lot of ways, it definitely sort of put me on this trajectory of being a voice actor. I see the shirt.
Mhm.
Well placed.
Yeah, it is my favorite, bar none. Yeah, it is like I have like a Deku tattoo. Like,
Oh, heck yeah.
yeah, I am like full. Like it like got me back into anime. It was like
Yeah.
because I was like superheroes and anime. Absolutely, I'll check this out. And I was like, and he never turned back.
Never turned back.
And yeah, I just so good, so good. Um, yeah, that Gundam Wing. Okay, okay, we
Yeah.
love that. We love
Throwback.
that. Yeah, yeah. I was literally just talking about Wing with another guest like yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I was like, heck yeah. I still think that Hero has one of the funniest line deliveries I've ever had with the "I'm gonna kill you" line.
Yeah.
Uh, I've never laughed harder at a like supposed to be serious moment, but I was like, first, where'd he get the gun? Second, Whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
And like that was my first experience with anything Gundam.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I was
yeah.
like, I thought this was supposed to be about robots, not child soldiers. Just kidding.
It's just about war and misery.
War and trauma. Let's
Yeah.
go. So, what was it about My Hero that kind of got you hooked?
Ooh, what got me hooked up? Like, well, the superhero fanboy. I mean, we just went and saw Thunderbolts this weekend,
Yeah.
and so I'm all about superheroes. Growing up, Spider Man was my favorite superhero until I got introduced to All Might, and then All Might
Oh
took
yeah.
my number one spot. Yeah, I've always loved superheroes as a kid. I've loved the concept of and who doesn't, right? Who doesn't love the idea of someone coming in to save the day, and
Yeah.
the idea that you can rise above your circumstances and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But I think for me at the time when I saw My Hero, I was really like not in a good way. Life was just not doing well. I had just started a business that had just failed miserably. This was before I even started doing voiceover,
Wow.
and I was like, I have no idea what my next steps are going to be,
Hmm.
and just seeing the relationship between Deku and All Might, it reminded me of my my younger days. I'm only 30, but I'm like my
Yeah.
younger days. It
Yeah.
reminded me of being like in high school because their relationship was very similar to the relationship that I had with my wrestling coach.
Okay.
And so he kind of just saw this kid who a lot of people would have just glanced over and been like, "There's no way this guy could ever be a successful athlete, let
Yeah.
alone a successful wrestler." Because I'd never done any sports prior to that, and within 4 years, he had taken me basically from ground zero, and I went on to wrestle Division 1 in college, and
Oh
I had
wow.
all this, this success on the later half of my career because of the work that I put in the front end. And it was just because one person looked at me and said, like, "There's more to this than even what you see," and so. Again, that parallel with my own life, I was like, I can do it again. Like I can be great again. Just like remember how it used to be, and here we
Yeah.
are. It all shook out. So
Yeah. Oh my god, I love that. Oh my, there's something about not being in a good place and finding My Hero Academia. I don't know what it is because I had the same
there's a real
thing.
correlation there.
Yeah, yeah. Like I was like not I was like I was fresh out of college. I wasn't getting like the jobs that my friends were
Yeah,
getting, and I was like something's wrong with me. And then I watched
yeah.
My Hero, and I was like I don't have depression anymore.
I'm curious.
I'm cured. Um, but yeah, it came at a time where I was like I need something,
Yeah,
and
100%.
yeah, I just oh my god, so good. So going back to your earliest days of Pokemon,
Yeah.
if you could voice a Pokemon, any Pokemon, which one would it be?
Oh, if I could voice a Pokemon. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. I mean, I do creature voices occasionally
Hmm.
now, but I think about like what my actual skill set would allow me to do, because that's the thing, right? It's like now as a working actor, I'm like, okay, it's a balance between like what I want to do and what I'm actually
Yeah.
capable of doing is like where my brain is going.
Yep.
So I don't know, I probably would do something like I don't know, like muck. Yeah, I'd probably do something like muck or
Yep.
grimer, something
Yeah.
just like gross and like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because I don't think I could do anything cute like Pikachu or Charmander or anything. Yeah, I'd be some gross garbage monster.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've gotten like Muck, Grimer, Trubbish. We
Yeah,
that was
Trubbish,
yeah,
yeah.
I was like, "Really? Okay." Yeah, oh my god, I love it. So, moving on to Digimon.
Yeah,
You voiced Joe in the Digimon movies.
that is correct.
What was your reaction to getting cast?
Oh man, it was like the greatest accomplishment I've probably ever experienced in my life.
Yeah.
And mind you, like I was the first person in my family to go to college and graduate from
Mhm.
college. I'm the first person in my family to be a college athlete, like all of these other things. And I'm like, this is where I peaked. This was the most impactful thing that I've ever
Yeah.
done for my family lineage. This is how
Yeah.
I will go down in history. Yeah, it was just the greatest reward and opportunity because a lifelong Digimon fan, and growing up watching Digimon, I never pictured myself having the opportunity to really be involved in the world in that way.
Mhm.
And to have that chance to not just like be a part of Digimon, the franchise, which don't get me wrong, I would have been more than happy to be like, I don't know, Sukamon be in some
Yeah.
random episode. Like that would have been awesome for me, but to be cast as one of the original 8 Digidestined and to be able to act alongside the voices that I grew up watching on TV. Like I've said this before and I will say it again, like that for me is where I have peaked. There'll probably be nothing that will ever make me feel as excited, because it's just this perfect storm of something that you really cared about, something that you were able to execute at a high level, and all of it just coming together in this perfect way. I don't think that
Mhm.
there'll ever be anything else in my career that'll ever check all of those boxes in that same way for me. Not to say that I won't care about the other things that I do and they won't be exciting, but that's just such a unique thing. I mean, how many kids, when they're 6 years old, sitting next to their mom in a movie theater, think to themselves, in like 20 years, that's gonna be me. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't happen. And so, yeah,
Mhm.
it's the greatest honor. It is the greatest reward, and to be able to pick up the torch for Michael Lindsay
Yep.
and get to play in this world that he helped create for an American audience is just, yeah, greatest honor. 10 out of 10. Yeah, like I said, I get hit by a bus tomorrow and I'd be like, I'm good. I accomplished all I needed to do.
All right, let's knock on wood on that. Yeah, I remember because I also grew up with loving Digimon and
Yeah.
everything, and I remember specifically ruining the first Digimon movie VHS tape because I
Oh,
watched it so much.
okay.
Yep, yep. Yeah, did the fact that I remember the Angela Anaconda intro is just I don't understand how, but I do.
Yeah.
It'll come up and I'm like, and I'll be like, I know that line on that. Oh my god, oh wow. I watched this a lot. Um yeah, and the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Whoo,
Oh,
oh my god. Banger. Oh my god. So good.
yeah. There's
So
this part of me that
yeah.
almost wishes, even though we did in the disc. Actually, I have it next to me. I have it here.
Hell
Da-da-da.
yeah.
But in the Blu-ray collection, we were able to
Mhm.
do the original dubs, and keep those in there with the original Digimon movie soundtrack, and then with these
Yep.
new dubs. But there's almost this part of me that wishes there was like a third version where we could get the new dubs and the old soundtrack together and like really like just
Yeah.
super mega mash it. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god. So as an actor, how did you approach Joe, like taking over for Joe?
yeah, it was something I knew that I was going to have to put everything that all of my limited tool set together to really execute on it, because I had never done a Joe voice prior to auditioning. Like that was the
Okay,
first time
yeah.
I had ever tried to like imitate Joe,
Yeah.
and it just happened to work. And I was like, all right, here we go. And so obviously I knew the voice because I had watched Digimon my whole life, and
Mhm.
I had played all the video games, and so I was exposed to this voice. Like I knew it in my brain, but I think that for me at that time, because I was probably 3 years into working as a professional actor, because I started training for voiceover in 2018 and then started
Okay.
marketing myself and actually started doing jobs in 2020. So again, like only 3 years in. So if you mix and mash it all together, that's like 5 years in total of like acting ever in your life. And so I knew it was going to be something that fans were going to really care about. I knew that it was something that was going to have a lot of eyeballs on it. And so what I did was I took all of the clips of Joe speaking in the original Digimon the movie, and I put them on an MP3 file, and I would just listen to it on repeat over and over and over again, and just get that in my brain. And I would take naps and listen to it, and just try to like subconsciously try to put that Joe in there as much as I
Mhm.
could. And then also going back and watching the original series as well, and trying to like find lines where I could really get into the Joe voice and pick up on the little nuances. And I also watched the few interviews that I could find of Michael Lindsay as well, where he talked about voice acting and being in Digimon. So anything that I could get my grubby little hands on, I tried to put into
Yeah.
this big pot of, working on being Joe.
Mhm.
And I think that it landed well for the most part. I think that the reception has been mostly positive. Well, no, it's been positive. I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything negative online. So yeah, it's nice to know that I put in that work and that it was well received by the fans. And yeah, I just gave it everything that I had, and I'm glad that it landed because I don't think that I naturally have like a Joe voice. Like if I'm talking, people wouldn't be like, "That sounds like Joe."
Yeah.
But at the time when I was getting ready for the movie, my poor fiance drove her nuts because I basically was walking around the house like in Joe voice all the time, and she was like, "Oh my god, I can't wait for this recording session to be over."
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I went all in, and I'm glad that it paid off.
Mhm. Oh my god, I love that. So, out of all of the Digimon series that you have seen, who
Mm.
is your favorite Digimon?
Oh man, my personal favorite Digimon, and it's interesting because I don't think he's ever actually appeared in anime.
Okay.
But it's Doru Goramon, Mega Level Digimon, Big
Mhm.
Dragon, blah 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 blah. I
Okay.
just think that it's got a cool name and it's got a cool look, and
Yeah.
I remember seeing the X Evolution movie. I don't know what year that came out, but it never came to the States. It's only came out in Japan and subbed, and
Mhm.
so there's no English. I don't even know if there's an official English version of it. I think I saw like fan subbed on YouTube like
Of
years ago.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Of
yeah.
course.
Yeah, I was like in middle school.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I remember seeing that movie and it really captivated me and hooked me. And so Dorumon and that whole evolution line. And so yeah, I would say Dorugormon, favorite Digimon of all time. Not to knock my boy
Of
Gomamon.
course. Of
I'm a
course.
Gomamon stan.
Yeah.
But yeah, my personal favorite is
Mhm.
Dorugormon.
All right. I love that. Yeah. My dad used to do a bunch of business in Japan, and
Okay,
so when he would go over, he'd be like, I was like 6 at the time. He'd be
yeah,
like, Adam, what do you want from Japan? And I'd be like, Digimon cards. Um
yeah.
and yeah, and so I'd get all these Japanese Digimon cards, and like all the like
Whoa.
kids at school would be like, this is so cool. It's like, I know. I'm pretty
Yeah.
cool. And I can't find any of them now. I know. I'm like, "Oh,
Just piles
why?"
of money just
Pot yeah,
gone.
literally, literally. It's the same with my Pokemon cards, all gone. Where'd they
Oh,
go? I have my hockey cards. Great.
hey, that's
Thanks for
something.
that's not Yeah, but, oh my god, yeah, I adored Digimon growing up,
Heck
and
yeah.
yeah, I just I was obsessed. Like,
Yeah,
I
I
had
mean, how can
the
you not be?
exactly, exactly, especially as, like, little, like, boys, like, oh
We
my
were the
god.
perfect demographic for it. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Be like, "Whoa, this is a bit, more adult than, Pokemon?"
Then Pokemon
Uh,
actually, Digimon's a better
yeah,
series because
yeah.
it touches on mature things.
Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. Just actually there's death.
Yeah.
So, moving on to another character you voice. You voice
Hmm,
the main character Zenos
I
in The
do.
Brilliant Healer. How do you approach a character like Zenos who's very dry?
Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
very dry.
Yeah, yeah. As I'm sure people are watching, like, oh my gosh, his energy, he's just like Zenos. Yeah, so I was shocked when I got the part. I remember when I
Mhm.
got the audition and
Yeah.
I looked at it and I was like, all right, well, and I watched the trailer for the show and I was like, okay, well, this definitely is not going to be very taxing on the voice. Like, I was like, this guy's not
Yeah.
excited about anything. Uh, and some people will say that it's actually easier to play someone that's the exact opposite personality wise of you because oh well I'll just do the opposite of what I normally would do,
Yeah.
and so going into the booth there is a lot of hey, can you slow that down? There is a lot of hey, you don't need to project so much, and so usually what I'll do before my sessions is I always like to like chat to folks in the green room and stuff. So usually I'll talk to people, and then as everyone like leaves, I will like be walking down the hallway, and then I'll just be like, "Hey, let's do my session. Hey everyone, this is Zenos. Here we go." And that's like that's it. Like
Oh my
I just
god.
just big sigh, and then I just imagine everything being a drag, which is so funny because there's a lot of like back and forth talking in between the sessions. You know, you'll do a
Mhm.
take, and then the director and the engineer, you know, they'll be working on it, and there's like small talk. And so Jason, our director, is so funny. He cracks me up so hard. Sometimes he cracks me up so hard I like start laughing when I'm trying to do the take. And it's such a challenge because Jason will crack me up, and I'll like start talking and I'll like do the line, but I'm Eli instead of Zeno. So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, guys, let's do it. And I'm like, that's we gotta run that again. Sorry.
Oh my god, I need that. Like,
Yeah.
just be like, yeah.
Yeah, the outro. Yeah, there's probably some really funny bloopers in there.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I'll heal you. No problem.
Yeah, best buddies.
Yeah. I'll heal you for free. Um, oh my god. So how does it feel to be like along with such incredibly stacked cast?
Man,
Like
you're telling me, jeez Lou. Yeah, the first. So I didn't know who anyone in the cast was when I booked the parts.
Mhm.
And even in on our sessions, when you go in, if you're lucky, like at the very top, you can like read people's names really fast before they
Yeah.
scroll down. But I was just so like, oh my gosh, this is your first lead. Don't mess it up. There's gonna be so many people. I was like not even thinking about. I was just like, just focus on you, just lock in on you. And so then when the cast list came out, I was like, holy whoa, like me, you want me like alongside these people? Like, are you sure? Like, did you call the right guy? And it's just one of those things that encourages me and really makes me feel like I have to like I say elevate your game as much as you can within a character like Zenos, right? So it's
Yeah.
like I need to be mega dry. You
Yeah.
know? uh, and I'm just so thankful. Like I remember watching the first episode and thinking like, oh my gosh, we are in great hands, because they are all so fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's also been a really cool sort of like some behind the scenes connections.
Mhm.
My very first session that I ever did at Crunchyroll, I met Mallory, who does the
Okay, yeah.
voice of Zofia, and then
Mhm.
Frieren, as probably people
Of
watching at
course,
home
yeah.
might know her for. But I remember I met her for the first time. She was one of the first people I ever talked to. And she was so nice, like, oh my gosh, you're doing your first Wallace session. Like, congratulations. And, I think that day I was playing like background male citizen F or something,
Of
but
course.
it was
Yeah.
my first session. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just excited to be here. And she was just so like welcoming. And I was like, okay, cool. And at that point in time, I didn't realize like how long she had been in the career. Like I didn't know of her resume, and I was like, wow, people who are this much further ahead in their careers are still so down to earth and like welcoming to new people. And yeah, I was so happy that I got to like work with her now, like in a more like direct capacity, because I was like, whoa, like behind the scenes, and now we're front facing, and yeah, so that's really cool. And then Cara Edwards in the first episode, I was like, Videl, Goten, like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I
Yep.
watched you on Toonami when I was in elementary school, and like now we're doing a scene together. Pfft. Yeah, it kind of felt like Digimon all over again, like hearing the voice of your heroes. Like,
Yeah.
there's this part of me where, and I'm sure other people feel like this as well when you're first getting started. There's this part of you when you're watching your stuff back, you feel like, oh my gosh, everybody else is doing such a fantastic job, and I'm just talking. Like it doesn't sound like acting to you because it's your own voice.
Yeah.
But to have my castmates be like, "You're doing great, you sound awesome," and I'm like, "Wow, okay, I guess I must not be totally botching it."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been 10 out of 10. I feel very fortunate in my
Mhm.
voiceover career and my experiences because it's just all been like onward and upward. Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on all the wood. Oh.
Yeah.
So, for people who don't know, how would you pitch Brilliant Healer?
Mm. Okay. Ooh, all right. All right. Challenge mode.
Mhm.
Challenge mode.
Yeah.
So, Brilliant Healer is, I call it is not treading new territory, but rather it is treading familiar territory in a new way.
Mhm.
So, some people might think, oh, kicked out of the party anime. I've seen one of those before. Overpowered healer anime. I've seen one of those before. Pseudo harem anime. I've seen one of those before. But when you watch the first episode, especially, a lot of the
Yeah.
tropes and the pitfalls that you expect to happen don't happen. Um, so there's a scene in the first episode where Zenos he rescues this girl from slavery, and you're expecting the like, okay, the camera angle's panning down. This is gonna
Yep.
get like pervy weird. Like, where's it going? Where's it going? And then it's this total like innocuous medical thing, saves her life. And then the other character even doubles down on the like, are we gonna play into the trope? And he's like, no, thanks. Go.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of humor in the like, oh, I didn't expect it to play out that way.
Mhm.
So I would say it is a not quite a slice of life, but like slice of life vibes. A lighthearted show, a feel good show, just a show you can kind of kick back, turn the temperature down a little bit, and just chill out at the end of the day. So that's what I would say. It's a show that's all about just taking it easy, laughing, good vibes, all that. For anyone who I was thinking about this because I just watched episode 3 back. For anyone who's ever like played, oh gosh, what is it? Persona 3. I
Mhm.
know Persona 3 Reload recently came out, but that like song that plays in the background when you're just like hanging out with your friends,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like that's the vibes.
Yeah.
That's the vibes. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just like chill, social link up, good time.
Yep. You have no idea the sigh of relief that came over me when he like fixed her gallstone and
Yeah.
nothing else. I was like, literally it panned down and went, oh no,
You're like, oh,
no.
here it comes.
I
Here
was
comes
like,
the
oh
anime.
yeah, I was like, here we go. And then like heals her and was like, okay, bye. I was like,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah.
Thank
Oh,
God.
because when I remember, learning more about the show and then watching the
Mhm.
first episode and kind of looking into the manga and learning about the series.
Mhm.
So my fiance is a wonderful support system, and my soon to be in laws are also a wonderful support system. So anytime I do something, my in laws are like, "Oh my gosh, we want to watch your show! Like, we can't wait to see it." And so I remember that first episode, like as we're going through the lines, I'm like, "Oh man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show them this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show them this." And then the scene played out, and I was like, "All right, I think this is going to be chill. I think this
Yeah.
is going to be okay." And yeah, so to your point, I also felt that sigh of relief. I remember Jason was like, "Consider this your hazing."
Because like even like before that part, um they were playing into the harem trope, the
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm gonna
yeah.
wait for him, and I'm like, oh no.
Like, is this all this is? Yeah,
Yeah, and I was like, oh no, no. And then thankfully it is way more than that, but I was like, oh, you better not, you
yeah.
better not.
Ew.
Oh my god. And I really like the magic system in
Mm.
Brilliant Healer. It's really, really cool. And I just, oh my God, it's so cool. So,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
one of those shows. I was reading a review. I think Anime News Network did it
Hmm.
on the first 2 episodes, and the way they described it is like they said the Brilliant Healer has no business being as good as it is,
Yeah.
something to that effect. And yeah, I kind of have been seeing that sort of the commentary like that I've been receiving online is people are like, this show was not on my list of like things, but
Hmm.
I saw a clip and I checked it out and I was like, I was not expecting this show to be that good. And I'm like, heck
Yep.
yeah, we're the dark horse of the season.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Hi, I'm Steve Yurko.
And I'm Tara Sands. Now available from Maji Media is our new podcast, 4Kids Flashback. 4Kids is the company who brought you the English dub of Pokemon in the late 90s and so many other shows like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Shaman King, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kirby, the infamous One Piece dub, and so many more.
We'll be talking to the people who worked at 4Kids. Actors, directors, writers, editors, producers, engineers, you get the point. And hopefully get the answers to questions both you and I have about the company.
I actually worked there as a voice actor on some of the shows.
And I was a kid watching the shows and remember way more than Tara does.
And thank God for that. Steve is actually a professional storyboard artist, which gives some really unique insights into anime and animation. Subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts. That's the number 4 Kids Flashback.
Hey guys, welcome to the Patreon portion of today's episode. And if you want to join the Patreon, there are a few different tiers, like shoutouts on the episodes, as well as exclusive videos and behind the scenes content and so much more, and even the episode a day early. Thank you to Gio, Keith, Blythe, Bunny, Mikey, Sheba, and Brooke. And if you want to join the Patreon or find out more, the link will be down below. And yeah, back to the episode. So, moving to your voice acting career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how did you go from college wrestler to voice actor? How does that happen?
Yeah, so what was I doing at the time? Let's see here. So I wrestled for 3 years out of college, and then I quit my junior year just because it wasn't a good fit for me anymore. Like I was like body's banged up, life's in the
Yep.
way, and I wanted something different. And then I started my own business, and my my business at the time. It's kind of funny thinking about like how that would have changed the timeline of history. But my business was we had created this mobile app, and it was kind of like the best way I can describe it. It was like Spotify for motivational speeches.
Okay.
So it was called Promo, and the idea was that we were going to spread positivity and motivation and just kind of lift up the world. And I think about the alternate timeline where that takes off, like, man, the world probably would be a lot better off. But I had no business acumen. I had no business running a business. And so it was very short lived. And then after that, I was just really feeling down, and I didn't know what my next move was going to be. And I was born in Texas, but because my parents were both Navy, I ended up growing up in Virginia. But I used to tell my mom, like, when I grow up, I'm going to move back to Texas. And so I remember being at that point, and I was like, well, now's as good as time as any. Fresh start, move to Texas.
Yeah.
So I moved to Texas, and I started working at a university there. And I found out that the university was only like 40 minutes from Funimation. Now, at that time, I had like no interest in voiceover. It wasn't really anything that I was pursuing, but I was like, I do love anime. Like, I wonder if they do tours. So I send over an email, and I was like, hey, y'all do tours? And they were like, not often, but you asked at the perfect time. We actually do have a spot available. And so they put me on this tour group, and I got to tour Funimation, and I was like, oh my gosh, the birthplace of anime. Not that there's other places that, create anime, but in my brain, I was like, whoa, I'm in a place where they make the thing that I love. So as we were walking through the halls and like seeing voice actors, I'm seeing all the cool stuff. And then I remember we walked into a booth, and we saw Danny Chambers. She was recording. I cannot for the life of me remember what it was she was recording. I just remember the character had red hair and there was a dragon. And so she's doing the line, and I was
yeah.
This is so cool. Like, this is how they make it. Like, there's people that stand in a booth and that's how they make the anime. I want to do that. So I go home and I Google like how to be a voice actor. Some things pop up. I find this Facebook group called the Dallas Voice Acting Meetup Group, which unfortunately does not exist anymore. But I go in the group, and I'm like, hey, I want to create a character demo so that I can be a voice actor. And this very nice guy, his name's Cliff Zellman, he swoops me up and he's like, hey, do you have like any acting experience whatsoever? And I was like, no, I don't. But I read online you need a character demo to be a voice actor, so let's do that. And he was like, let me save you from yourself before you waste a bunch of money.
Yeah.
He takes me out to lunch. He's like, here's the deal. You need real training. You need a real background in acting, a real foundation. He was like, because those video games and TV shows that you love, those are the people that you're going to be auditioning against when you enter this industry. And I was like, oh, I guess when you put it that way, I never really thought about it. So I started doing the formal training. I went to the Global Voice Acting Academy, which is an online program, and I trained with them for 2 years, got my commercial demo made, got my character demo made, sent it out to some agencies, got my first agent, and then I spent about a year with that first agent, booked nothing, but learned a lot, got to audition a bunch, and then I got my second agent, which is based in Toronto.
Hey.
Yeah, so I'm my wonderful agent, Tada Voice works in Canada, and I've been with him ever since, and we've had a wonderful working relationship. For any of your Canadian friends up there, I'm trying to think. Bank of Montreal, does that sound familiar? BMO?
Yep.
I am the voice of BMO. So if you're ever on, if you're
Hold on.
Yeah.
Throw out the anime. What?
yeah. So if you're listening to commercials, I'm trying to think of what is the line that I always say at the end. Visit bmo.com/cash to learn more. Terms and conditions apply. So if you're listening to the radio and you hear that, that's me. And
That's
so, yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So BMO has been a wonderful relationship. I think we're
Mhm.
going on 3 years now.
Wow.
I think they might have a male and a woman voice as well,
Mhm.
potentially. I'm not sure, but I definitely do the male voice for all
Yeah.
of the radio spots up there. So yeah, I'm the BMO guy. And then commercial work takes off, and so now that I have this commercial foundation, I find myself trying to get into the character half of it. I'm like, okay, I can do the commercial stuff, but how do I do the character stuff? And I remember it was, Marissa Linty. She
Mhm.
had put out a call on Twitter. She was looking to add people to their roster for Sound Cadence. And I was like, hey, I got a character demo. So I submit my character demo. She was like, this is great. We're going to put you on the roster. And so that's how I got to do my first ever anime thing. I got to be in a show called Dragon Ghost House Hunting. I played a
Okay.
character named Daniel. And at that time, Sound Cadence, because it was during the pandemic, at that time, Sound Cadence was doing some shows for Funimation, which was like in the process of merging with Crunchyroll, but doing some shows for Funimation. And so I got to be in the show through Sound Cadence that ended up on Funimation. And so I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And so that was like my first ever like anime thing. And so then I got to do a couple background bit things with Sound Cadence. And then the Digimon audition comes probably like a year and a half, maybe 2 years later. It's pretty packed in there. It's like a rapid fire timeline. So then
Yeah.
Digimon comes. And I'm like, whoa, all right. Like, I'm doing like big anime. This is really exciting. And then after Digimon, I get the email from Crunchyroll. And then, so we got to rewind here. So I submitted my audition, or not my, I submitted my demo to Funimation/Crunchyroll back before they merged. I want to say in like 2020. It was like right after I got my character demo. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I can do voices. I want to be in anime. And I had sent them my thing. And it wasn't until like 3 years later, after Digimon, they were like, hey, so we reviewed your thing and would you like to come in to do some stuff for Crunchyroll? And I was like, I've been waiting my whole life for this. And so then I come in for my first Crunchyroll session, and I have just said yes to every opportunity that they have presented to me and made the most of it. And I've been fortunate to be called back several times. And so now I have my first lead, and that's the story of Eli.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh my God. That's one thing, because I went to school for like television and radio.
Okay.
So that's one thing we do learn is say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's so important, is just experience, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and I tell new folks like that I'm not new. I
Yeah.
tell folks that are even newer than me when we're
Mhm.
talking in the green room. I'm like, if you have the availability, like say yes to every Walla session, because some people get in their brain like, oh, it's just bit parts or it's just crowd stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but you're essentially getting paid to get better at acting.
Yeah.
And it's in a very low stakes environment. Like you don't have to worry about the internet coming after you because you messed up the line for male soldier F. Like no one's going to be like, you ruined this movie for me.
Yeah.
So get those early sort of kinks out in that low risk environment where it's just fun and learning, and then when those bigger opportunities do come, like you'll be ready to go.
Yeah.
Like one of the ones that I was like, oh man, whew, hats off to you, My Hero fan. I'm assuming you're watching Vigilantes.
Of course. Yep.
So Jack Broadbent, who does the voice of Koichi,
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to him the day he was doing his first session.
Oh shit.
Uh,
Wow.
and so it's funny because we were sitting in the room together, and he was like, which totally understandable.
Yeah.
And so we were just having, and at that time, I didn't know that he was Koichi. He just told me he was coming in for something, and it was his first time. And I was like, oh my gosh, like so exciting for you. And then afterwards, I found out that's what he was doing. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I do not envy him. I do not envy like that. You have to be on the world stage for your first ever.
That's
Like,
insane.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, so props to him. Kudos for him for holding it down. And yeah, so I feel fortunate that I got to do it the slow and steady way instead of the thrust into greatness. But he's absolutely rocking it. So he
Oh
was
yeah.
clearly built for it.
Mhm. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's Vigilantes has been fantastic.
Yeah.
So good. So what has been the biggest lesson you've learned since becoming a voice actor?
Oh my gosh, I've learned so many. Um, I think that there is this sort of mentality of like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, you know? Like, I think that folks really get in, and I myself, because I didn't know any better when I first started, I auditioned for everything. Like, if there was because I was just happy to be getting auditions.
Yeah.
So when the sides would come out, I would be looking through the characters and I'd be like, well, they're all males and they say that they need males. So I'm going to read for them, you know, and I'm just going to try. For characters that I had no business like trying to read for. And I think now one of the things that has benefited me a lot more is I'm very selective about the things that I audition for. And absolutely, that's a privilege. Don't get me wrong. I acknowledge that I am in a privileged position because I'm very fortunate that I have a successful commercial career.
Mhm.
And so I can afford to not do every single like character thing that comes my way. You know, I can afford to be like, I'm not a good fit for this. There's no point in me straining my voice, wearing myself out, and getting down on myself for a role that I know that I'm not right for. You know, for example, like the Vigilantes auditions, like Knuckle Duster, there's no point in me reading for that. There's no there's no reason for me to read for now. Some people are like, you know, just give it a shot. I think that works for some people. I've learned that about myself is to just be selective, and it's okay to not be a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
There are some people who have a voice like that. I think like Johnny Young Bosch.
Yep.
I think folks like even Steve Bloom, maybe not so much the high pitched stuff. Oh, I mean, I guess he does do Guillemon. So maybe Steve Bloom as well. But, you know, there are some unique unicorns out there, Tara Strong, that can do everything with their voice, but that's not everybody, and that's not me. And I've had to learn to accept that I'm not going to be able to do everything, but I can be the best at the things that I'm best at. And so that's really what I've tried to hone in on and focus on as of late. And yeah, so here we are.
Oh, yeah, I love it. So, since becoming a voice actor, how has your relationship with anime changed?
Ooh, I think that my appreciation for it has actually deepened quite
Okay,
a
yeah.
bit because now I'll be watching something and, you know, I'll see the performance and I'll think to myself, I cannot imagine how hard it must have been to get that line out.
Yeah.
Because I know what, like now, especially, you know, playing Zenos and like having to do big blocks of text from time to time, I'm like, that was tough. And so kudos to them. So I find myself being enamored with the story. I find myself being enamored with the performances. I find myself being enamored with the production because now I know more about audio engineering and the mix and the writing and all that stuff. So when all of those things land, I find myself like, wow, I can't believe they did that. Wow, they can't believe they did. So I could be watching a show with an absolute horrible story and terrible animation, but I could be like, man, but the mix on this show is next level. So I would say
Yeah.
it's deepened my appreciation because now there's so many different things that I find myself cheering for and being excited about. So
Mhm.
yeah, I would say that's how it's probably changed it the most.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. So, going back to some of your favorite anime, what was it about Dragon Ball Z that kind of got you?
Oh man, gosh. It's like, what is it about being a human? You
Yeah.
know, 'cause I think Dragon Ball speaks to like every person on planet Earth in
Mhm.
some way, shape, or form. But I think that for me, I've always been been someone that's been very much like moved by music. I don't have a musical bone in
Okay.
my body. Can't
Yeah.
sing, can barely dance on rhythm, maybe on a good day. Can't play any instruments, but when there's a song that catches you, whether it be because of the actual instrumentation of it or the lyrics, but you know, the cheesy like dragon, dragon
Dragon Ball.
from the dragon, like that
Yeah.
got me as a kid. And so hearing that come on TV and just like plopping down and being like, I don't know what I'm in for, but that song hooked me.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's really just I'm a very simple guy. I'm easily hooked. I'm easily interested, and
Yeah.
yeah, I think the marketing just worked on me. And I would say the thing that has kept my interest and kept me interested and persisting with, you know, the series of Dragon Ball, from Dragon Ball to Z to Kai to Super and all of the movies and all of the things, is I just love seeing I'm a hype beast, man. I love seeing the new moves. I love seeing the new
Yep.
forms. I just
Yeah.
like the shiny toy aspect. I'm like, what's the new thing that they're gonna do? Like Battle of Gods totally hooked me. I was like, Goku red hair. Like I'm in there. I don't know what it's gonna be about, but I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish I could say that there was like some deeper philosophical meaning, like there was with my connection with like Digimon, but with Dragon Ball, I'm just a hype beast, man.
Yeah.
I'm locked in. That's what got me.
It's always funny when I have friends who are like just shonen heads, like
Yeah.
just like all I want to watch is fights and like big things, and then I just was like, here's Fruits Basket.
Yeah.
And they're like, this was really good. I was like, yeah, maybe listen to me and watch a romance anime.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, I can be the same way where I'm like, I just want to turn my brain off and watch men punch each other.
Yeah. I want to see some energy blast. Like I'm all in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I in Canada, it is not Rock the Dragon, which I didn't know that until I was like,
Whoa.
until I was like 17.
It's pretty late. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I was like looking up anime on YouTube for, part 6 of, in Spanish subtitles and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't the intro I'm used to, because ours is like literally just Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z. That's it. Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. And I'm like, this is weird. I am not used to this. This is much
Yeah.
better than what we had. But I love Dragon Ball Z. I one of my friends was like, who had never seen it before. She was like, do you recommend me watch it? And I was like, you can watch Dragon Ball Kai. Don't watch Z.
You're like they perfected the system.
Yeah.
You just
Let's just watch Kai. There's less filler. There's less screaming for 15 episodes at a time. Yeah. Even as a kid, I remember we were in England visiting parents or grandparents, and they had Cartoon Network. And so I was like, whoa, I could watch Dragon Ball every day. Oh my God. And like I watched the whole goddamn Frieza saga, and it's just like my Scottish grandparents watching like these men
like
just
scratching their heads.
Yeah, just like what are you watching? Like, oh my God, yeah. Oh, so good. So what's what's a moment during your career that made you go, I'm doing something great here?
Oh gosh. I'm doing something great here. It was there's been a couple, but I think the one that probably comes to mind first is so I got to do the voice for this character named Anubis in this video game called Double Dragon Gaiden Rise of the Dragons, available on all platforms, and just released a new free DLC update, so you should go download it.
Yeah.
But I think that because I'm subscribed on YouTube to like all of the major like gaming and anime news sites, and so to see the PlayStation official YouTube channel release a trailer with my voice in it for a video game that I was in was like, whoa, like, all right, we're doing, because I've been a PlayStation head my whole life.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I don't know what it is, but my mom, she has like ultimate brand loyalty. So as a kid, my mom only bought Sony electronics. Like, we weren't allowed to have anything else. And so when I was like, I want video games, she was like, you're going to get a PlayStation, and that is what you will have. And it will only ever be PlayStations.
Damn.
And so she did soften up a little bit later on, and I got a DS.
Yeah.
But I think that's just because the PSP wasn't like out yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Sony was like all that I knew as far as electronics, and I've always loved my PlayStation, and I've been so thankful for all the experiences that my PlayStation has given me, and to be like, this is PlayStation with millions of YouTube subscribers and eyeballs on the thing that I'm doing. Like, this doesn't feel correct.
Yeah.
I would say that one for sure. And then Digimon obviously was the other one. Thinking about I was listening to a podcast with Joshua Seth, who voices Ty,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how Digimon as a media franchise is right above, I think it's Fast and the Furious for like gross like income. And when you think about like what the like how
That's
much money that generates, and being like Digimon
damn.
is above that, or I remember I think maybe it might have even been Linty, but someone was talking about over in Japan. They had done like no, it wasn't Linty, it was someone else. But anyway, someone from I think the cast or production were talking about how they had gone to Japan and they were touring Toei and they saw all this Digimon stuff and they were like, whoa, like y'all have like One Piece and Dragon Ball, and they were like, yeah, and Digimon's number 3, and it's just like between those two, and so
wow.
hearing, because I have my own fandom, but I never had like the facts and the stats and the numbers and things to back it up. So like learning that stuff and being like, I did that in a recording studio at like, just some place in Texas, and billions of people had to, or like are exposed to that franchise. Or I think about how the producers and people overseas have to, like, a lot of fans don't know this, but a lot of properties, especially when they're big properties, when they're licensed stateside, it's not like the the Japanese client is like, here you go, just do whatever you want with it. We don't care, like have fun, Americans. Like that's not
no.
So much of that stuff has to go back to their side for approvals. And so to think that, there's someone at Toei that listened to me and was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, what? Yeah. So I think it's just little moments like that have all accumulated. And yeah, I think probably once a week I'm like, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that. Yeah, that's so cool. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That the One Piece, Dragon Ball, and Digimon. Damn.
Yeah. Right.
Damn. That I knew it was popular, but goddamn.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and for anyone that wants to fact check me, go to Toei's Instagram, Twitter, see what the 3 hashtags are. You can go check it. I didn't believe it either.
Yeah. No, I damn. So, since you're such a big anime fan, what have been some of your favorites of the past like year and a bit?
Ooh, year and a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the new season, or the most recent season of My Hero, was great. Me and my fiance, we really enjoyed Jujutsu Kaisen.
So good.
Trying to think. Other recent ones that I actually had time to sit down and watch. I'm not just saying this because I was in it, but I actually was like, whoa, this show like is going places. The Red Ranger becomes a hero.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
I was not expecting this show to be so fun. It's so fun, and it's filled with so many like Power Ranger references and references to just like other things. And yeah, that show I think for me was the one that I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait. I hope they get a season 2, whether I'm in it or not. Like I'm locked in for the ride. I want to see.
Yeah.
So I would say those are the ones that come to mind as far as things that I have seen recently. Yeah, I would say those 3.
Yeah. I saw the first episode subbed because my friend put it on and he's like, you have to watch this. This is ridiculous. Because he's a big Power Rangers fan, so he's like, you have to watch this. And I was like, ugh, fine. I guess. And then I watched it and I was like, I finished the episode and I looked at him and I was like, this needs to be dubbed immediately. I need to see what they do. And it's just so good.
So, and that for me, is the first time when Red transforms and the cloud blows her away and she's like, why is there explosions? And I was like, this is comedy gold right here.
Yeah. And like, you'd think I'd get sick of watching that. No. Anytime he like blew up, I'm like, do it again.
Yeah.
I was like a monkey brain. I was like, again, please. Oh God. And like Red's relationship with Logi as well was ridiculous because it's literally a Power Ranger and a psychopath, and they're both just bat shit insane,
And it's so good.
and it's so good. Oh,
And the dub, like they absolutely nail it.
yeah,
One of my Digi Bros, Brad, who
yeah,
does the voice of Logi, he's so great in that
yeah.
show, and he cracks me up every single time because they're just like, man, how angry can one guy be?
Literally, though, I'm like, okay, let's not scream about pie or something like that. He'd scream out
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
It's like, for my princess, and I'm like, okay.
yeah. I know his voice has got to be like,
Oh my god, I love. Yeah, it was just so good, and like the amount of stuff that they would say, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what the?
yeah,
And like the whole like it being based on like relationships and like friendship, like
yeah.
I just imagine him sucking throughout the entire world until he finds friends, because
Yeah.
that's just how his power works. And I'm like, oh
The
my
power of
god,
friendship.
yeah, the
Yeah,
power of friendship. Oh, and I also love that it's an isekai, but it's not like a normal isekai,
yeah.
you know, where like usually when the person gets transported, they adapt. This guy is like, no,
Nah.
no, you guys got to adapt to me, or like, it's not going to
Yeah,
work.
I'm not changing.
Yeah, I'm going to transform no matter what. One of my favorites was when he transformed, and I think there it was like two guys, they just didn't care, and the uh mage girl was just like, are they not freaked out by this? Is this a normal thing now? Oh my god, it's so good. And like, yeah, I was not expecting it to be that funny.
Yeah. 10 stars.
Yep, 10 out of 10. How was that for you to be in it? To
Oh
be,
yeah, it was
the voice of their
yeah, yeah, to play the voice of the almond buckle.
yeah,
So I remember when I got the part, it's so funny because a lot of folks also, again, a little behind the scenes, a lot of people think that we get like huge prep time and notification about like when things like, nah, you like find out the week of a lot of times, like you're doing this.
yeah,
And so I remember I got the part, and it was just like they want you to do male Sphinx voice, and so I was like, all right, male Sphinx. So I like watched the episode, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I'm waiting to see like a mythological creature. I'm like,
yeah,
where is this Sphinx that I'm gonna be voicing? And so then I see like the little coin, and I'm like, oh, and so I'm thinking that the voice is coming out of the coin. And so that's what I'm imagining in my head. And then she pulls out a different coin. And I'm like, okay, so there's a different voice for that coin.
yeah,
But the voice in the J is the same. So it's like, oh, it's not the coin, it's the actual little apparatus. And I was like, I think I'm going to be like doing some cool stuff in this show.
yeah,
And yeah, it's just, it feels like being, what's the word I'm looking for? Like choose your character. Like it
yeah,
feels very much like that.
yeah,
And Lee, our director for the show, was very much like he likes to like make it cheesy radio disc jockey. Like he
yeah,
was all about that. Like we did some takes where I tried to be like Sphinx, and he was like, no, like more because in the J, the
yeah,
voices were like suka Sphinx, like all of this sort of like almost deep sultry kind of thing going on.
mhm.
And I was like, is that what you want? And he was like, let's try a different direction. So then we go to Sphinx. And he was like, yeah, even more of that. And so there was this, it's the first time I remember saying patch up. So I was
Yeah,
like, patch up. And he was like, can you make it like gross? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, can you make it almost like he's like, ugh, like burping? So I was like, patch up. And he was like, yes, I love this. And so we just had so much fun with it. I think
yeah,
because in the J, I learned this on the back half.
mhm.
That voice is like a very iconic voice. And so I think that they were like, we're never going to find anything that iconic. So
Yeah,
let's try to just do something completely different.
Yeah.
And I think that what we did really lands with how kind of absurd that the world is.
Yeah.
Although I did really enjoy the episode where I say this like a villain. I did enjoy the episode where she loses the almond buckle and Azir takes it, because I got to do some more kind of like intense menacey ones. And I remember as soon as I finished the session, I told Lee, I was like, man, I kind of like doing the bad guy version. And he was just like, oh man, lightsaber color just changed. Da, 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 da. But yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed that show. And again, fingers crossed for season 2.
Yeah.
Even again, like I said, even if they're like, Eli, we're going to go a different direction, I'm locked in. I want to see what happens. Red and the gang all the way.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It was so, and it was also really funny because I was watching through it. I was binging it, and I the Sphinx buckle comes up, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, who's that voice? And then I Googled it. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And so good.
Yeah, I've had an interesting, I would say, year and a half, maybe, because Digimon the movie just recently came out, but I
Yeah.
recorded a good deal. We even announced it a good deal back.
Yeah, I remember that.
But getting to sort of showcase, like doing Joe to doing the almond buckle to Zenos, like it's like, wow, one guy is really doing all of these things.
Yeah.
So it's been cool to be like, not, I guess, typecast in a way. I get to do a cool variety of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not just this guy. Although we were joking the other day in one of our like Discord chats about how I'm playing Zenos, who is a healer, and then Joe, also a doctor.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh man, you're gonna be the medical guy." That's gonna be.
It's all right. We need another medical anime. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Dude, thanks for having me. It's been a blast and a half.
Of course. Where can the lovely people find you?
Oh yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at the Eli Farmer. You can also find me on Instagram at the Eli Farmer. You can find me on Blue Sky at Eli Farmer, and my website is elifarmer.com. And if that's too hard for you, if you just go to Google and type in Eli Farmer, it's me and some random preacher from the 1800s. So it really shouldn't be that hard to differentiate.
Oh my God, I love that. All right. I'm just picturing that now. All right, yeah, go follow him. You can follow me at Corky Cosplays on Instagram, Adam Corky everywhere else. Subscribe to the Patreon. You get the episode a day early, as well as exclusive videos. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.